What is up, everybody? I'm Clayton. Welcome back to Ages of Film. We are live today. So as you can tell by the title, we're going to be ranking our top 5 favorite horror villains. But I'm not doing this one alone. No, sir. I got a couple buddies of mine joining me on this one. As per in the link I posted, we got Jack Petrie joining me. And of course, we got Brian Lomax as well. So do yourself a favor, guys. After this live, if you haven't already, go check out both Jack's channel and Brian's channel. Give them a sub, give them a thumbs up. And yeah, so we're going to get right into this, guys. Thanks for being here. How are you guys doing?
Yep, I'm good. Yeah.
Doing good. I've realised this is the first time we've actually all got together on one stream at the same time, which is great.
Is it really?
We've all been talking for like 6 months. Yeah, pretty sure. Well,
no, because we did a live stream on the Ridley Scott thing, didn't we? Or was that just? Oh no, was that just between us?
We didn't. Yeah.
I think we just got together, didn't we? The three of us.
Yeah, I think we just did a collab on that one.
Yeah, I think we just chatted some nonsense in the Facebook chat. Is this really the first live stream we've done since?
I think it is.
Genuinely think it is, yeah.
No, because we did one on my channel. You guys came on my channel and we just talked some nonsense. Or was that just you, Jack?
That was private. No, that was it was a private one still. It wasn't a public one. You and I did one, Brian, but that was just us for you did a Q&A.
Oh, yeah, that was it. But, yeah, so... Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Clayton wasn't on that.
I was on my cruise. Yeah, I was on my cruise.
Man, live, that's bizarre. See, that doesn't compute. That didn't compute when he said that because that doesn't feel real. I feel like we've all been on together at some point. Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, that's what I didn't even think about that either.
Yeah.
That's pretty weird. Cool. We got Jerry in the house. Jerry Wilson saying hello, Clay. I'm excited for this one. What's up, Jerry? Thanks for being here, buddy. Please sub and hit the bell. Also smash that like button. Yes, do that. Thank you, Jerry, for throwing that up. Jerry, my mod. Hi, Jack and Brian.
Hey, Jerry.
What's up?
Jerry's going to be dropping y'all's links there in the comment as well. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and get rocking. So first I want to thank, I'm glad Brian could join us. I know he was a little on the fence there. We weren't quite sure we were able going to snap Brian up, but he was able to make it. So
once you have kids, guys, just enjoy it while it lasts. I love my kids to bits, but enjoy your singleness.
I struggle making everything work without kids. I dread it.
I know, right? Oh man, sometimes I still think I'm a kid. I mean, depending on who you ask.
It never goes away, mate. It never goes away. No. Just like when I had kids, I was like, how can this be? I'm still a child myself. I cannot be having children. But,
I don't like how similar I feel to like 21. I'm like, I don't actually think any differently, I'm sure of it, but here we go.
It never changes. You just get more aches and pains, and that's it.
Yeah,
you still fit.
That's basically it. Yeah, it's crazy because now I have to I think it's probably once I turned 30, like being in my 30s now, I have to stretch every day. I can't just get up out of the bed and start rocking. I'm like
physio about my back recently. I was like, I can't believe it's come to this.
Yeah, I know, dude.
I stretch in the morning. I stretch over. I grab my phone, and then I spend an hour flicking through things. Notifications, baby.
That's the extent of Brian stretching.
I've seen you doing reviews before where you had some kind of back thing where you were literally on the floor,
filming reviews. Yeah, that was rough. I've slipped 3 discs in my lower back, and I was just on the floor all week. So
wow, what a trooper, man. What a trooper.
We're not 40 yet, Clay, so we got a bit of time yet before that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I might not have done
sooner than you think, mate. Sooner than you think.
Well, especially with my accident back in October, I got 2 herniated discs in my back. So I'm still treating those, but yeah, I'm my back's all messed up now. But yeah.
Anyway, this isn't the old fart podcast. This is a movie podcast.
Oh man, I love it. So I thought it would be cool to do a top 5 favorite horror villains, because this is something honestly I've thought a lot about. I mean, obviously, look, anyone who knows me, my number one's no surprise. Like everyone knows what my number one is going to be.
No, I can't think what that might be.
It's a film I've never talked about before. I say that, you know.
Yeah, I'm not a big slasher guy. Those Michaels and Jasons. Yeah, I don't really do any of those. But I've always said like, oh yeah, that person's top 5 or this person's top 10. But I've never actually sat down, I don't think, and like put a top 5 together. So it was actually hard. It was harder than I thought it was going to be, because there were a number of honorable mentions that I wanted to put in there, but I had to keep it at 5. So you asked me next week, one of these might change, 1 or 2 of these might change.
It's so interconnected with the movies as well, isn't it? Like, it's one of those things where in my head I'm like, there's a lot of great horror icons, you know. So when you talk about Michael, Jason, whether they're very memorable, you know, stayed in the culture for a lot of reasons. But the actual movies themselves, I guess it's more tied to that for me, where the movie's more powerful. I guess the villain stays with me more.
That's true.
I think there's a lot of like Freddy, Jason, and Michael fanboys out there who, while they all say, like Clayton, Michael's my boy, and all that rubbish, but like I think he will openly admit that at least half the Halloween movies are veering onto dog crap.
How dare you throw shade on any Halloween?
I'm sorry, but Halloween Resurrection, there ain't no defense for that film. There ain't no defense. Okay.
No.
So
I will stomp a mud hole in Halloween Resurrection all day. That movie is just rubbish. But I agree. And another part of this, though, is keep in mind, everyone who's watching, we're not ranking these based on movies. We're ranking these based on the villains themselves. So those movies, it would look a lot different, but we're just going villains themselves. So there might be like a character that we have on here. We're not saying that their movies are better than someone else's movies. We just like them as a villain. So we'll just kind of do a snake draft here type of thing. Jack, I'll let you start with your number 5, and then we'll go Brian, me, and then I'll start with number 4 and go Jack, or Brian, Jack, and just kind of go around like that. So,
Jack, before you do your number 5, do you have any honorable mentions you'd just like to list?
Yeah.
I didn't really have, I say honorable mentions. I had one that I think was never done properly because the films weren't particularly good, in my opinion. But I do think Jigsaw could have been a very interesting villain. Like, when I saw the films, I was young when they were coming out, and I was fascinated by this idea of like this serial killer who's trying to actually rehabilitate people. It got to a point where it was so ridiculous, where it was like, oh, I've caught you out smoking again, so I'm gonna, and it's like, okay, like we're not actually, it's not a real conversation anymore. But I think the idea there was actually very cool. And I liked where it could have gone, but the films just never quite lived up to it, I guess. So that was my honourable mention, because I do think the actor, Tobin Bell as well, I thought he had a great presence for an older guy as well. So he was my honourable mention, but it wouldn't make my top 5 because I just think the films and some of the execution and how preachy it got, it kind of lost me a little bit. But I did think it was a good villain. I definitely get why it had so much success. So that is my one honourable mention.
I do find it quite amusing that Tobin Bell is still playing the character in a prequel to the original film 20 years after the original film.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. Commitment, dude. Commitment. Yeah.
I guess they tried to get around it by saying he was at like the worst of his sickness in the
It's the cancer treatment. It's the cancer treatment. It's not old age at all.
John Kramer is an interesting guy, though. Like, that's a good honorable mention. He's an interesting villain for sure.
There's certain things about it that have stuck with me. There's certain things about the character, especially the first film. Like, I know some people are a bit mixed about it, but I think the first film and the whole idea behind it, I think it doesn't seem fresh anymore because there's so many sequels and rip-offs of it. But I think when you just go back to then, when that first film came out with that idea, it was fresh at the time. It was done on a low budget, and that final twist, it was like, this is good. I felt like that could have really gone somewhere. As I'm older now, I see a lot of the flaws in it more, I guess. But at the time, it definitely, struck a chord with me at the age that I saw it. That's for sure. So.
So what's your number 5 then? What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Chucky.
Once they get like, so I think like after 3, like I remember 1, 2, and 3. After 3, from 4 to like 9, they all kind of blend in.
Yeah, all the same film in it. I cannot distinguish between 4, 5, and 6 at all. If you show me a scene from 4, 5, and 6, I could not tell you which one it's from.
It's hilariously convoluted, the plot around there. Whereas, like, how many things have to have aligned for everything to play out the way that it does? It's just like, come on.
I can't remember which one it is. It might be 6, but it literally boils down to the detective going from one crime scene to another. Then we see a flashback, and that counts as detective work. And it's like, dude, you've done nothing. You've just shown us a flashback. Like, where's your detective work gone? It's like,
that's all you got to do. Just flashbacks. No, they all blend in.
But I just think it's kind of tarnished that original. So I do think when that came out, it was something good, especially based on like the budget and everything like that. It's kind of it's impressive. There's something cool about it. The idea is so good, and like looking back on, there's so many interesting things you could have done with that.
No, I like the first Saw. That's probably the only one, and 10 that I would rewatch.
Yeah,
so. Like number 5 though. Let's get into your number 5.
So
spend 20 minutes on one honourable mention.
No, I've gone for Chucky. I have gone for Chucky from the Child's Play franchise. Again, just kind of going through those movies again. I don't think the movies are. They're quite good. They're actually quite watchable in all fairness, but there is something about that doll design. A lot of the tricks they did, especially in that original movie with the Brad Dourif voice and personality, which is just brilliant to watch. It's very memorable. For me, it's like having those villains with sort of a charisma and something you really remember about them, where there's a level of humor to it as well. That's always kind of really stuck with me. And, I haven't seen the rest of the franchise in a while, but the first film in particular, I really do think is pretty great, especially when you first get the reveal of Chucky to the mum. And I think Brad Dourif has just got such an iconic voice. And watching kind of documentary stuff about how they did that and everything, it just makes you, I think about Chucky. I think that's a great character. Maybe was never fully realized in the movies, perhaps because the movies are quite flawed to an extent. But I think in terms of a horror villain, it is very memorable. There is something creepy about a doll, possessed doll coming after you, especially taking the place of a child as well. And I think, I really liked the storyline that, and I think it's very memorable, the whole design and execution of it. So for me, definitely 5.
That first movie, I love that first Child's Play movie, and in many ways, I wish it was a one and done. Because like some of the sequels go really off the rails, and that I know a lot of people really love Child's Play too, but I think Tom Holland really nailed that concept, that first movie, and I watched it so much as a kid, and
it's still my favorite Child's Play movie. I had that number 1 on my ranking. So
same.
I watched it again recently. It's such a tight film. Do you know what it really is? Really clever. It's so tight. It's so melting. For what it is, for a slasher from the 80s, I think they did a really nice job with it.
I love movies that get in and get out when they're under an hour and a half. I think that one's like 88 minutes or something like that. It's the pacing's just like boom. It's just no baggage, no unnecessary guff that's stuck on there. It's just we know what we're doing. Get in, get out, boom, and you just want to watch it again afterwards. So
Brian, what about you? Number 5.
I'll just kick off a few honourable mentions. I won't go into any major spiel about them, but just these are ones that just like instantly come to mind, and it kind of it gnawed me a bit that I couldn't put them on there because it's just 5. But So Severin from Near Dark, that's the Bill Paxton vampire from Near Dark. Just because of the shit, like, he's just having a blast with it. He's having fun. He's just no qualms about it. He's just an out and out villain. He's a complete arsehole, but he loves what he's doing. Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs. I mean, I love the TV show Hannibal as well, so I guess that creeps into that love for that character as well. But I like Red Dragon as well, and I like Manhunter. Just both versions of that story. Hannibal, I kind of dropped the ball a bit, but but you can't argue with Silence of the Lambs. Great film. It's just sheer intelligence. He's Predator from Predator, obviously, just badass kind of villain. Jack Torrance from The Shining. Love Jack Torrance from The Shining. He could be us all, basically, if we succumbed to our darker impulses. And then I've got 3 villains that kind of fit into the same sort of category, which is probably why they don't quite make my top 5. And it's literally that they don't really have a genuine face, because they could be anyone. And that's the Thing from The Thing. That's the It from It Follows. And Ghostface from the Scream franchise, which literally could be anyone. There's no single Ghostface that is like, I guess Billy Loomis from the first film is the one that really kicked it off, but there's been so many Ghostfaces and people kind of like have favorites.
He is my favorite Ghostface.
Him and Stu. I love that combination of those two. Just seeing that for the first time back in '96 was just like, so Ghostface, I'll just put in there just as a general, just because like he could be anyone, or she could be anyone, and that's kind of what I like about it. Anyway, it's where it kind of dovetails away from your usual slasher, the fact that it isn't just going to be the same person every time. But they're my honourable mentions. But my number 5, this people should have known this was coming. This is just for the fun of it. Like, only one of these movies is really any good, and even that I can see why some people are like, it's a bit hokey, special effects a bit naff and that. It's the Krites from Critters.
I knew it. I knew that was coming.
It had to be. Like, it had to be. Those movies have been with me since I was a kid. Yeah, they've been with me since I was a kid. I just have such joy whenever I see a critter on screen, and it's just, there's just something about those little fuzzballs causing mayhem, having fun while they do it, that it doesn't matter that the films are badly made or like cheap looking. I just have fun with them more so than something like Gremlins, which I know that's the go-to for that kind of movie, but I felt like the first Critters film did it better than Gremlins. It didn't have weird rules in it that didn't make sense. Don't feed them before midnight. Well, technically any time of the day is before midnight. So like how long before midnight? Like, just Gremlins is stupid. It's underwritten. It's like needing a few more go arounds on the script. Critters doesn't have that problem. Critters fails on the production value because it doesn't have the kind of budget that Gremlins has. But from a script standpoint, it's really tight. It's quite a tight script.
Film, I think it's quite good. I don't really understand. I like the first film. It's not really. I mean, that and Gremlins to me are probably on similar. I probably enjoy them equally. I don't say I'm not as nostalgic about it, Brian, as you are. So I say you've grown up watching it a ton of times. But I actually think the first film's pretty good. I enjoy it.
Critters. I genuinely think Critters is a great film. The sequels, I'm not overly fussed about arguing the case for. I like them. I watch them. I enjoy them. But I'm not under any illusions that they're great. But I do think that first one is genuinely great.
I'm not like a Critters diehard or anything, but I actually prefer the first Critters over the first Gremlins as well. I also think I honestly think the first Critters, the crates themselves are scarier than the Gremlins, especially in that first movie. Like there's some some scenes in the like POV shots and stuff, or when they're in the basement or whatever, and the lights are off. To me, they Gremlins just remind me of those little stuffed dolls that you used to buy at like Walmart or whatever. Like they're not scary to me at all. So yeah, I actually prefer Critters over Gremlins.
Well, there's something weird about the first Gremlins film that I don't, which stops me from loving it. Is it feels like tonally a bit inconsistent. Like there's some moments where it's kind of all about the fun of it, and it feels slapsticky, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then you have a dark story about a dad dying in the chimney, and he's like, "What the hell did you just go?"
Yeah. Like that. Whereas when you do that, sometimes in a film that you feel is setting up as fun, especially when you get to the final act of that, it's over the top and good fun. But it's just some odd moments in that. Whereas I think there's definitely a case to be made that the first Critters is sort of more consistent with what it's what it's setting up. For sure.
Yeah. No, I agree. So before I give my top five, I just or my number five, a couple honorable mentions for me. One, Brian mentioned and that's Jack Torrance from The Shining. Love, and especially Nicholson's portrayal of Jack Torrance, phenomenal. Love that character. And then the other one was my boy Pennywise. I really wanted to put him on here, especially Tim Curry's Pennywise, which I think is scarier than Bill Skarsgård. I think the Bill Skarsgård movies are better, but I think Tim Curry is scarier through his voice and his mannerisms as Pennywise. Maybe that's because I saw that one when I was a kid. So I have like, when I think of that, I have a lot of nostalgia type of like that fear factor than when I saw the newer ones. But I do love Pennywise. He doesn't quite, he's that close for making the list. But number five for me, I'm going with the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers. So yeah, big fan of the first Jeepers Creeper movie.
Shame about the rest.
yeah. They go downhill from there very quickly. But yeah, that first one, dude, the way that he shot, the look, that jacket, the brim, hat, and you start off like you don't know what this thing is. You just see him dropping bodies down through that tunnel thing, and you're just like, what is this guy? You see his truck, and then you find out really quickly that you're dealing with something like demonic, like something that's not from this world. And I just the look, I'm big on like aesthetics, and the aesthetic of the Creeper looks creepy and is creepy. And yeah, I think the film, obviously, like the way that he was directed, I think any villain can be scary if you get the right director directing it. And I think that the way that I forget the guy's name, Saliva or something like that, directs it, makes it really effective in that horror department. The look, the aesthetic, and just the way that it operates is creepy. And then that twist at the end, I won't spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it. Shame on you that you should have seen it by now. But yeah, when you think that something positive's gonna happen, it's gonna end on a good note, it doesn't, and you're just like, that last scene, you're just like, wow, dude, this thing is a menace. So yeah, I love the Creeper, love the first movie.
I'm with you on that one, Clayton. I was actually just about to add that in as another honourable mention, since you guys did a couple. Because I'm like you, I love that first film, and I saw that when I was very young, when that first came out on DVD. I saw it, and I also had no idea that it was a monster movie. And I think the first half of that movie is incredible. As a horror film, it's really incredibly well done. And as you say, you lead up, and then it turns into this monster movie. And just as a child, having never seen anything like that before, always stuck with me. I think it was really cleverly done.
Sure.
And terrifying design, like the Creeper design when it first comes out onto that balcony and you first see what this thing is.
So well shot. So yeah, I love it.
Even the second film, I actually think the second film is all right as well, in all fairness. But
the second one has a moment.
The second film's all right, but there's just some stuff in there where you're like, if you know the director's past, it becomes a bit leery and a bit weird and a bit okay.
Lots about jokes about the guys all hanging out together. And it's like, what?
It just becomes, it's a bit too on the nose where you're like, is he
right?
Okay, uncomfortable.
The first, it's because you know who he is. You would never even think about it if you didn't know about
the first one still holds weight because I saw it knowing nothing about the dude, and then none of that stuff kind of comes through. Even when you do know stuff about the dude, it's like, no, the film still works. It's still like, it doesn't seem to be anything in there that's like too kind of and then the third one, oh man, that's just dog turd.
I think
makes zero sense.
This is my problem actually, because I think 2, the script isn't particularly good for it. So it's definitely a big step down from 1. But I think in terms of how it's directed, it definitely still has a flair about it that is pretty good. It feels like it is a well-directed film, even if you don't like the story and the characters. And then obviously he came back, writer and director for the third, and the quality drop-off is so strange. I'm like, how can that even happen? If you film 2 films,
that's budget. That's budget though. The budget just dramatically increased as they went along because like it was after the second one that a lot of the kind of stuff came out about him, and the studio got cold feet, but they'd already committed to making the third film. But it's like, all right, it's like massive reduced budget, and then it's just like
I also really feel like if you watch the first one and the way that it's written, the script and the way that it ends, I also kind of feel like he didn't, almost like a John Carpenter with Halloween, where he didn't really plan to make anything after the first one, but then it people wanted it, so he's kind of forced into writing something. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of get the sense when I watch the first one, I'm like, I could see this as just one film. Like if nothing came after it, I could see it as just one and done. And
the box office was huge on it. It made a ton of money, I think.
I think if the director didn't have the past that he has, and if the sequels that came after that first one were of consistent quality to that first film, then I think The Creeper would be just one of those iconic slasher kind of villains. I think it'd be up there with like your big ones.
It really had potential, didn't it? It genuinely did have potential,
It really did.
Long time. I just thought it's the weirdest thing. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the behind the scenes stuff on the second film, and he talks about when he's filming on the bus and stuff. He's talking about, he's really quite insightful about like lighting and all this kind of stuff. And he was talking about how important that is and what makes a film look good. And then goes on to do a film where the lighting is absolutely laughable. I say even it's production is a budget limitation, but even still, there's something about it where I think this just looks like somebody having a go, and it's kind of weird to see that same guy. But maybe that goes to show what budget plays in. If you are limited to that, there's only so much you can do. I don't know, but
I don't really see that being a good enough excuse. There's a guy on YouTube who does low budget, mid budget, huge budget, and he'll take one director, like he'll take Chris Nolan, and he'll do Following, low budget. He'll do Insomnia, mid budget, and then like Dark Knight, huge budget, and then he'll pick out shots that are very familiar Nolan shots and show you how he's essentially achieved the same kind of deal but on different budgets. And I think if you know your stuff, budget isn't it shouldn't make that big a dent on things such as lighting and stuff. Maybe CGI, it'll make a dent on things like effects work, but it shouldn't make too much of a dent on how something's lit and how it's shot.
Well, that's what I thought, which is why it sounded weird that he was talking as if he really understood what it meant for a film to look good and how important lighting was. I was just like, how has this happened then on the third film? As you say, there's fan films out there made for 10, 20,000 that look amazing, so it's not really an excuse at the end of the day, but there we are.
Jack, or no, I guess I'll start with number 4 and we'll just go back around the other way, kind of snake draft it. So trying to put this up as well. All right, so my number 4, if you guys know me, I had to throw a werewolf on here. All right, like it wouldn't be a Clayton stream without a werewolf. So I'm going with Lucian from the Underworld franchise. Lucian's probably, as far as like werewolf character, don't even start with me, Brian.
Anyway, guys, I'll see you. I'll see you again.
No, you are staying. You are staying, and I'm gonna make you suffer through this. So I'm not crazy about all the Underworld movies, but him as a character, I love him as a character. I love the way Shannon plays him. The guy, I forget his first name, something Shannon.
Michael Sheen.
Sheen. What did I say? Shannon? Michael Sheen. Yeah. I love the way Michael Sheen plays him. The third one I love because that's like the most werewolf-ish of all of them.
Third one is the best. I will agree with you on that one. We're in the minority there. There's not many people say the third one's the best, but I think it is.
Yeah, I do too. Rise of Lycan. So yeah, I got to go Lucian. As far as, it's not my favorite werewolf movie, but werewolf character, I love me some Lucian from Underworld. So I'm going Lucian number 4.
Is it me next?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So my fourth one is Ellie, the vampire from Let the Right One In. And that might be a bit of a shocker for some people. They're like, is she a villain? No. Yes, she is. This is the thing with a lot of the takes on Let the Right One In, and I think it's very important up front to say, look, if you're someone who's read the book, I don't care. Okay, it's got nothing to do with the film. The film is the film, and the book is the book. And whenever I argue the case based purely on the film, because that's all I've seen, but based purely on the film, I argue the case that she is absolutely a villain. She's manipulative. She is evil. Everything she does is geared towards turning this kid into her next lackey. Her old lackey's dying. He's on his way out. He's old. He's running out of time. She needs a new caretaker, basically, and it's all geared towards manipulating this kid into becoming her new caretaker. And she isn't even a she, she's a he. And the very specific reason for showing us that just in one shot tells us everything we need to know about the character, which is she is not what she appears to be. She doesn't love this kid. She needs him. She's using him, and he might be in love with her, but it's completely misguided. She's evil incarnate, and I think that's the whole point of the film. Now, I've said that. I've said that in video essays, and I've had people come on going, now she's done it, you're totally wrong. It's a love story. No, it's not. It's like, but in the book. Yeah, and then they go, but in the book, I don't care. You don't come at me with something in the book. No. Come at me with something from the film, okay? If you're gonna defend your opinion that the film iteration of the character is a love story and that it's something we should really be on board with, then give me the evidence for it in the film. Don't come at me and say that but in the book no, it's not. Is that bit you're talking about in the book in the film? No. Right, well, shut up then.
Right.
It's just
same thing with The Shining. When people judge the Shining movie like, well, that's not what Stephen King wrote. Yeah, Stephen King's not making the movie. Okay.
Because otherwise,
Stanley Kubrick made the film. He completely changed it to the point that Stephen King himself didn't like it. Why? Yeah. Because Stanley Kubrick had a completely different agenda. He saw something else in the story that he wanted to use and dovetail it off in another direction. And that's exactly what happens with the film of Let the Right One In. That is a film. The title is specific. It's from her perspective. It's not, we think about vampires, let the right one in, if you're going to let them into your door, you got to invite them in, but only invite the right. But that's not what it's about. It's actually about her letting the right one in. It's about her finding the right person who's going to look after her. And that is the twist on that. It's the double meaning of the title. I love the film. I think I've said before, it's my favorite horror movie of all time. It's not my most watchable horror movie of all time. It's not the one I would gravitate towards, for a rewatch. But when I think about quality, when I think about the meat on the bones and just how much is going on in it, and when I watch it, I'm like, that's incredible. It's an absolute masterpiece.
It's a brilliant film. It really is. I haven't seen it, again, to talk about the sort of interpretations of the story and everything. I haven't seen it in some years now, but I did buy it last year because I've been really meaning to get back around to it, because it definitely left a mark with me. It's a very good film, but I'm kind of interested to see it with that perspective, because I saw it when I was a lot younger. But
that's why he, I call her she, but it's actually he. But that's why he's one of my favorite villains, because it's so. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. It wears the veneer of innocence. There's nothing more innocent than a young girl, with big eyes and looking all sweet and innocent, and she's anything but. And that's why it's such a great written villain, and such
and manipulation is the core of any vampire story, really. That is where the lore of vampires kind of are written around that.
I mean, I get where Brian's coming from. It makes sense. I remember the movie, but these guys know I'm not.
But you're American, so you're quite dumb. You don't like subtitles, and it's just like, we get it, man, we get it. I prefer Let Me In because it does it in the English language, and then I don't have to read.
I don't have to read the movie. I can actually watch the movie. So, but no, I do. I will watch it again. Because I know, I had seen it before I knew that it was Brian's favorite horror movie, and then I remember when he first told me, I was like, I got to check this out again and see if I can see what he's seen. But as I've heard you talk about it, since you connect a lot more dots for me. And honestly, I mean, I honestly wish it was in English. I feel like I would pay a lot more attention to it if that movie, not Let Me In, but Let the Right One In, if it was in English.
I find with this stuff, though, with subtitled and foreign films, after a few minutes, I kind of do just forget about it. I kind of do just get my head into it. When you watch more foreign films, I do find that I sort of forget that I'm watching a subtitle movie after a while. It's not really something that puts me off now. I haven't actually seen Let Me In, so I don't want to judge.
Well, part of the reason I'm not that keen on Let Me In, I think it's well made, this, that, and the other, but there's two So to me, I think Let Me In does go down the route of it being more of a love story, which I think is the wrong. I think it's the wrong way to go. I really do. So they get rid of the scene. So in Let the Right One In, there's that one scene. It's literally one shot where you see down below and you realise it's had a bit cut off. So it's not a she, it's a he, and it's in that shot that it's just visually within the space of 2 seconds, it's telling you she is not what she appears to be. She is, she's everything the skin she wears, it's all veneer, and it's conveyed in that one shot. And then there's another moment when she allows him to kiss her or hug her, and he goes in, and you see the look on his face, and he's all into it, and he loves her, and he's like, and then you see the look on her face, and she's looking at him like, okay, reeling him in, and it's all in that one shot, and it's just, everything you need to know just from those two things about who she is or who he is.
Why did they decide to change it to the American? Did they think that with American audiences it wouldn't resonate the same? It was a bit more out there.
I think they just expect that American audiences would prefer the love story angle, would prefer it to be more of a she's a genuinely protective kind of. You're just dumb.
We're just dumber. Honestly, we're our IQ levels much lower than the rest of the world.
It's just for me, Let Me In. It keeps a lot of the evil acts that are committed in her name. It's still got the caretaker killing people in order to get her blood, and yet they also want you to look at her as this protective kind of this love interest, and those two just don't mesh for me.
No.
Whereas if you look at Let the Right One In, no, she's a villain. That's it. It's evil, and anything that is even a hint of love is all veneer. It's all manipulation, and that is how I want evil to be portrayed. I don't want it to be half and half. It just doesn't work for me. So, so there you go.
Jack, With number 4, man. What you got?
Number 4. Well, I didn't chime in earlier, one of the honorable mentions, because it was going to come up in my list, but my number 4 is Ghostface.
Nice.
Because I absolutely love the Scream films. And I think just more than anything, for me, rather than sort of a big hulking villain that's just pure evil chasing after you, to me, I've always found it much more scary to be surrounded by people that you think and you really don't understand them at all. And I find that way more scary. So it's like the first Scream is a great example. Okay, it's great to not know the twists until the end, but I find when you watch that film again, particularly characters like Stu, Matthew Lillard's character, there is something really unsettling about his character when you know what he's up to. And that kind of thing to me Scream is not what you think of as it's a fun horror film. It's not a really scary one, but there are elements about that film that I'm like, it's actually quite disturbing. And I think that just kind of gets under my skin a bit more. So one of your friends in a cheap Halloween costume, willing to do such twisted and disturbed things for reasons not just like I'm evil so I kill people. They're doing it for strange reasons. And like that, to me, I just find more powerful than you sort of say Michael Myers in film, something like that. So it might be intertwined with the fact that I love the Scream films as well. But as a villain, again, it's just iconic, absolutely iconic.
That opening act in the first Scream is scary. Like before you've seen it and you haven't seen it before and you're just going in the first time, you're just hearing this wacko killer on the phone talking crazy stuff with this girl, and then he goes out and tries to kill her. Spoiler alert. And then you see her body hanging up on the tree. Like that opening sequence is scary.
It's incredible, and it's because it goes from being fun and okay, he's messing with her. And you think, okay, maybe she's in a bit of danger here, but it's when it suddenly turns and he's like really willing to actually gut her, and and suddenly that kind of really brings it home. And it's just something about that idea of being around people that you don't necessarily know. I mean, loads of people that have been, I don't know how often these kind of things actually happen in groups like that, but you do get young people who do crazy things like this, and it's like often people say we had no idea why it is that they would never do this.
Well, you get famous serial killers like the guy who was at Rillington Place, who after they get found out, the neighbours were like, he was always such a nice man.
Lovely.
He was always such a quiet. He never bothered anyone. And then it's like 10 bodies in his back garden.
Absolutely.
That was Ted Bundy. I mean, Ted Bundy to a lot of people seemed like a great guy. He was a Republican, went to Republican conventions, and people knew him.
What's his face? John Gacy. John Gacy won Man of the Year in his hometown twice. Yeah. So
he's the hometown clown. Kids would go over and hang out.
Dahmer was the same way. He was a very softly spoken, gentle kind of person. And then you find out what he was doing, and it's just impossible to connect that. You're just like, I can't. Yeah. But weirdly, when you know what he's done, everything you watch in his mannerisms change it, and that's what makes it scary. And I think that's why the Scream films work so well. I don't think they did as good a job with the sequels, but I think particularly in that first film, watching it again, even knowing there is something about it that is very unsettling, because you do start to notice off things about them that kind of show you they're not quite right, and it's all a big facade and their kind of persona at school and with their girlfriends and friends, and it just worked.
I wish with the sequels, I don't think the third one is the best sequel, but I wish they followed the pattern of the third one a bit more in just having one killer. Just because the original film had 2 killers doesn't mean that every film has to have multiple killers. Just stick with one. It gets a bit eye rolling when it's like, okay, now we've got multiple killers. Oh, and the twist on this one is that there's 3 instead of 2, and it's like
And they had to
I don't think there's a bad Scream movie though.
No, I agree.
It's one of the most consistent horror franchises. It's the most consistent slasher horror franchise.
Oh, for sure. 100%. Jack, we'll start with you again on number 3. What you got for number 3?
Okay, so another one that's already come up, I have gone with Jack Torrance from The Shining.
Nice.
There we go. Yeah.
Again, just an incredibly well-written character. It's the fact, Jack Nicholson, maybe one of the most memorable performances of all time. It's a wonderful horror film, and again, it's a movie that again it's talking about different interpretations of what it really is. Is it a guy who already has a lot of sort of darkness and evil within him, and it's something like cabin fever setting in, something to make him snap? Or is it the kind of supernatural elements going on within the hotel that play a part in that? And the fact that you never really know that, I just find it an absolutely fascinating story.
Yeah.
And
I see it as both, myself.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of, I guess they.
I think there's a supernatural element there, but I think it wouldn't get its hooks into him if he didn't already have that darkness there. It's his willingness to go to step into it.
I always remember seeing a review years ago for The Shining where somebody, I haven't actually read Stephen King's book, but somebody had said this idea that in the book, the character starts off very normal and then by the end has completely lost it. And they didn't like the movie because they felt like he already seems off. But I think it's much more believable that you already have a guy there's a little bit, there's something not quite right about him. He's a little bit cold and disconnected from his family, and he's already vulnerable and on that edge of snapping, and it just takes something like this to, whereas you've got this completely stable, well-adjusted guy coming in. I don't know if you can make that as convincing, whereas I like in The Shining already, even on that car drive up to the overlook, you already know it's a little bit off. It's
solid on the television.
Well, that's what makes him a villain, though. This isn't some poor guy who gets corrupted by some supernatural force. This is a corrupt guy who gives in to a supernatural force, and that's just as powerful, I would say, if not more so, because I think like we all have to look at ourselves and check the darkness within. And I feel like he doesn't. Like the scene when he goes into the bathroom and he sees the woman there, like the first look on his face is one of excitement. He's exhilarated. His first thought isn't, "Oh, naked, crap, get out of here." And it's like that's him choosing that, and it's the hotel is just preying on the darkness that's already within him. And that to me is a more compelling notion.
Well, and it makes you it makes you think more, because like Jack is the whole point of them going to this hotel is for him to rekindle his relationship with his family, with his wife and his kid. But instead of that, he's feeding into everything negative instead of everything positive. So he's supposed to be working on his book. He's being idle. He's supposed to be getting closer to his wife and kid. He's distancing himself from them. He's supposed to be loyal to his wife, and yet he's going off with this girl that he's got the hots for. Everything good that he's supposed to be doing, he is choosing to pursue the opposite. And that's what makes it such a genius film. And that's what makes Jack Torrance such a great villain. So
I say you have to, with these characters, they are far more compelling when they're already troubled. And then this is the thing that kind of brings out the worst in them, because to me it's not as interesting when you have a really decent character, say well-adjusted good character, who just gets turned by an evil force. There's nothing to really see there. It's just, okay, it's a horror film, fine. But when you have characters that are either vulnerable because of going through hard times of grief or whatever, or whether it's something like that where Jack Torrance is already a really flawed, dark person anyway, and it's just as going to take the right circumstance to kind of push him to that next level. And I think that's way more interesting, for sure.
Brian, on to you, man. What do you have for your number 3?
So my number 3 is Norman Bates from Psycho. Of all these slasher icons, he's my favorite. Technically the granddad of them all.
He was another honorable mention of mine, so I'm glad you mentioned him.
I again, TV show, I love Bates Motel, absolutely fantastic TV show. But even just the movies, like there's Psycho 3 and 4, while they're not the best movies, they're still very watchable. There's still, there's a lot of entertainment in 3 and 4, and they do have some stuff in there just purely from a character perspective with Norman Bates, because he is also quite a sympathetic character. He's not in control of his madness. He's kind of a victim to it in many ways. But like we were saying before, I think you were saying, Jack, about Scream with we were talking about how it could be the person next door. Well, that's who Norman Bates is. You know, you look at him, he's this nervous looking, twitchy, smallish, kind of nerdy looking guy. And then when that button switches inside him and he becomes Mother, everything changes and he becomes extremely dangerous. And it's just, it's a tragic character, just really tragic. And yeah, I don't know. I guess that tragedy within him just makes me, it just puts more meat on the bones. It gives me a reason to kind of be invested. And in the second film, you know, when it's kind of forced back out of him. He's kind of sort of cured. He's trying to get back, but people won't let him. And just the constant like bringing it back, and then at the end, boom, smashes the woman over the head with a spade, and Mother's back. You know, and it's just like it's like even when he doesn't want to be a villain, the Norman Bates side of him doesn't want to be that.
Right.
But his madness won't allow it. It always finds a way to creep back up. And it just that everyday guy that you could share a brew with and have a conversation with. And yet, without knowing it, he flips a dress on, becomes a woman, and starts whacking people. And it's like, that's kind of scary and very
that's
real.
A great idea for a horror villain.
Yeah.
I watched Psycho again recently. I hadn't seen it in some years. I saw that again recently. The first half of that film is just amazing. It's perfect. Yeah. The first half. I think the second half is still good, but I think there's something about everything leading up to the shower, meeting Norman Bates, and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And I like the remake, the Gus Van Sant one. It just didn't for me. And what Anthony Perkins did as Norman Bates, I just don't think that. I don't see Vince Vaughn as
Vince
that guy.
I've never seen the remake.
He's too towering. The thing with Anthony Perkins is he felt like he could beat the crap out of him if he had a go at you. Like he just seems like a normal kind of weedy type guy, but then once he snaps, it's like it's the power of the madness that takes over. Whereas with Vince Vaughn, you know, record holder for tallest leading man in Hollywood, it doesn't really kind of have the same.
I think a lot of modern horror films kind of lost track of this idea that, you know, like say when you get to like Halloween remakes, they had this idea that look, let's make him more muscly and bigger, then it's more scary.
Let's make it like a tank.
It loses. It's like, oh my god, look how big he is. He could kill you. It's like, that's not the root of what actually makes these. Like you're saying about Norman Bates, what makes him scary has nothing to do with his physique. You say it is the fact that he's kind of nerdy, quiet, kind of soft character, and he has this other side. That's what makes it scary.
There's something scary in the mundane, in the everyday. Because that's where evil lurks. That's, you know, when you look at people on the news who get caught for murder and you see their mugshot and it's like, they just look like some regular dude that I've passed in the street today. It's like, you know, they don't look like Tyler Mane. Like,
right.
Just
that's the thing. Like with the Halloween thing, like that wasn't what made Michael scary in the first place. It wasn't his physique. It was what is this thing that's coming at me? Like
let's wait till you get to your number one.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna get into it. We're not gonna.
I'll have my day in the sun. Yeah. So I'm on to my number 3. Number 3, I got Mr. Krueger himself, Freddy, who I love. Throw that up there. I love Freddy. Love what Robert Englund did with the character. Anyone who wants to argue of the big 3 that Freddy is the most frightening, scary, I won't argue with it. The concept is horrifying. This demon that haunts you in your dreams. There is no escape. You can leave Haddonfield. You can leave Camp Crystal Lake. You cannot escape your dreams. You have to fall asleep at some point, and when you do, Freddy's going to be there waiting for you. And that first one was just so good, such a classic. The score, the way that they didn't show a lot of Freddy, What they did show of him was just menacing. I love how his voice gets darker throughout that film along the way, as you yourself as a viewer descend further and further into that boiler room, getting closer to Freddy. It's just such a great concept. The look, again, I'm big on aesthetics and looks of characters and villains. That, I mean, there's something so iconic about that glove, and the claws and that brim hat and just that sweater and the swag that Robert Englund brings to that character. I mean, just such a cool character for a villain, and menacing, great makeup and design in that first one. I love Freddy, the personality, and honestly, like he's very similar to Pennywise in a number of different ways. But I like Freddy more, just that personality, that dark sense of humor that he brings. They go too far into the one-liners later on in the franchise, but when they use it as just kind of sporadically here and there, where you see how twisted his sense of humor is, spot on. So yeah, love Freddy. Not the biggest fan of all his movies, but love the first one, and I think that when Freddy is done right, he's hard to beat, man, because he's just such a great character. So yeah, he's my number 3. All right, so we'll go on to number 2. Number 2 is one that I think Brian had mentioned earlier, and that is Hannibal. Hannibal Lecter is my number 2. Love Silence of the Lambs. It's one of my favorite horror films. I've said this for years. I think Anthony Hopkins, dude, what he does in that movie, so good. Like, just so he like, to me, it's one thing for an actor who's in makeup or in a costume to disappear and make you see that character. It's harder when you don't have like the makeup or the prosthetics, and you still can make the audience not see you, the actor, but see the character. And it's hard to do. I mean, I think Tom Hanks did it in Forrest Gump. Anthony Hopkins does it here in Silence of the Lambs. Like, even though I'm aware that it's Anthony Hopkins, I'm so invested in the film, I only see Hannibal Lecter, the character, and that is just such brilliant acting, man. The voice is so eerie and creepy to listen to when you hear Hannibal talk, and it's the minor things, it's the nuances that Anthony does in the way that he walks, the way that he turns.
It's the stillness, like
you know,
when we first meet him and we see it from. I mean, that whole sequence is brilliantly shot, because it's head on cameras.
Yes.
It's cameras looking straight at us. So it's from the perspective of the characters. So when we first come in and we see it from Starling's perspective as she's walking to the cell, and he's just stood in the middle of the cell, waiting for her.
There.
Absolutely still, other than his head that just kind of slightly moves as he follows her. And for the most of the scene, he he just remains still. Except like when she puts the papers through the thing and he takes them out, and then he's like,
yes, he does that wink to her.
It's just and so it's all just those little mannerisms, the very minor movements. But then you take that, and then you go to the scene where he's let off the leash and he kills all the guards.
Yes.
And all of a sudden he becomes like a feral animal.
Yeah.
And you realize just how dangerous this guy is, not just intellectually, because we've already seen how intellectual he is, but also just how physically he is.
Yeah.
He's like the full package when it comes to, all right, okay, this guy really is everything that they've been talking him up to be.
Something I love as well. We were talking earlier about this kind of idea that sometimes in history, psychopathic serial killers do have a sense of like charm about them. And I love that with Clarice, she even knows exactly who this guy is.
Yeah.
And she's so intrigued, and you can see she almost respects him, even though she knows who this guy is. And I think you feel convinced of it. You believe that she is genuinely feeling like they're working together on something, even though she's obviously dealing with this fascination of him, but also being aware that, as you say, when you let this guy off a leash, she's like an animal and cannot be controlled, cannot be talked into about morals and anything like that.
But not only that, there is also an aspect to the character where it's like if you treat him with enough respect, he won't kill you.
Yeah.
There are certain characters that are like, he could have had him, but because they've treated him respectfully, it's like, I'll let you go.
Something that's fascinating, I don't know if you guys noticed this over the years with certain things, when you get characters like that are really cold, if they do like the smallest thing that's nice, as you say, like that, like, I respect them somewhat so I don't kill you, people have become way more forgiving of them. I've noticed that a lot. It's kind of interesting, isn't it?
I think because
they're nice. They're fine.
I think because no matter who you are, and maybe this is just me and I'm giving too much away about my dark heart, but it is morality that holds you back from doing certain things. Whereas deep down, if morality wasn't an issue, there's plenty of times during the day where I would take a bat to someone's head.
Me too.
I'm sorry if that sounds dark, but like it is the sense of morality that kicks in where it's like, no, that's wrong. You've got to be more loving and not give in to those dark impulses. But if you didn't have that switch that says those things, it would.
That's why we're obviously fascinated by serial killers, though, because obviously most people, when you hear about a guy who's willing to kill and eat multiple people, to most people, you just can't even fathom how a person could do that. So I guess that's why those kind of characters, let's say on the smaller scale, people, morality is different and how they live their lives or whatnot. But I think it's these characters like Hannibal, where there's such a coldness that the majority of people look at and just go, I don't even understand. Like, are you actually human in the same way that I am? I'm not sure. That's probably why we're so fascinated by them.
I just think also that moral choice, if you want to call it that, for Hannibal to, let someone off the hook, so to speak, for being respectful. I think it calls to my. I think there's a deep-rooted truth that we're all guilty. I think which whoever's moral standard you want to put it by the law of the land or whatever, by God's standard. Should you believe in God, we're all guilty. If you're honest with yourself, if you've told a lie, you're a liar. If you've taken something you shouldn't have done, you're a thief. It doesn't matter, if you can get into like a peeing contest about, oh yeah, but he stole £20,000. I only stole 10p. It doesn't matter. You stole it, so you're a thief. So it's like there is a thing that we're all guilty, and it's like when you take someone like Hannibal Lecter, who will kill someone for disrespecting him. There is this thing within us that almost wants to say, you deserve it. You deserve it. Yeah. Because we know we all deserve it. It's just like it's not up to someone like Hannibal Lecter to mete out that punishment, but we all kind of secretly go,
right,
you deserve it.
The one other thing I'll say before I pass it to Brian, another thing that makes him so scary, for one, we don't really see him outside of his cell until the very end, and yet he still carries such this horror element about him.
He's in charge. He's in charge of the room. He's locked up. He's locked up, and yet it's the people outside of his cell that feel like the ones that are trapped.
Yeah, and it's just brilliant acting by Hopkins to be able to project that on screen. You can't just cast anybody in that role and get that same effect. You need someone that can go there psychologically to project that, like you said, Brian, that control over the room and project that horror element in the room. And he nails that. So I love Hannibal, love him to death. I could watch Silence of the Lambs all the time because of Hannibal. That's it. Brian, over to you.
Okay, so my number 2 is the Xenomorph from Alien.
I don't know how to
Just
spell that, but
it's an X. Xenomorph. Yeah, there
like
you
that.
go. That's it. There you go. So just the life cycle of this thing alone is just incredibly horrific.
Yeah, yeah.
And seeing it burst out of the chest like that first time, you're just like,
So good.
I tell you what, when I first saw Alien, I knew that scene was coming, and I remember when I was very young when I saw it, I had like anxiety the leading up to that scene, like just something about that. It's just it was just like I can't.
It's just like a total violation of the body, but from
Yeah.
within rather than from without.
Yeah.
Like it is like an assault scene, but it all comes from within the body. So just that alone is horrific. And it's just also the fact that this thing is absolutely 100% unequivocally indiscriminate. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you have a sob story. It doesn't matter if you're a good guy, a bad guy, someone in between. You're prey. That's it. There's no qualms about it. It does not have any feeling towards you whatsoever. Right. It's just you are a means to an end, and it's just that idea that you can't reason with it. It's a creature. It's coming for you. That's it. Right. You're done. And then you've got just the design of it, Geiger's design. Like every single part of this thing is monstrous, is a weapon. The tail, the mouth that pops out, the huge head that, like, how would you even?
It's so wrong. It's never done.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
like it's absolute genius design. And then you think about the things like you can't even flipping stab the son of it because like his blood comes on you and that's it, you're dead. It's just like everything about it is just designed to kill you. And it's like I can remember. I saw Aliens first, so like out of the whole Alien franchise, the first one I saw was Aliens, and just like seeing that with the military guys, and they got like all these rounds firing off, but they're just swarming at them, and just that absolute feeling of helplessness of knowing that if you're in a room with one of these things, you're dead.
One scene that always sticks with me from Aliens, where they're watching on the radar as they could see them coming in, and they're like, they should be in the room, and they go up to the roof, and they're crawling upside down through.
I love it. Poor Dallas too, man. I was rooting for him. I was hoping he'd make it out of there, but
man.
Yeah. That's I guess another good thing about the movie. Like for me, when I first saw the movie, I was a teenager, but I didn't see the captain of the ship going out. Like I was thinking him or Ripley were probably going to be like one of the last two survivors, and yet Dallas gets RIP. Halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way through. I mean, I didn't see that coming.
I forgot as well on my honorable mentions. I forgot to put David from Alien. Prometheus.
Good call. Good call.
When I was actually thinking about the Alien, David I was literally like, I can't have two villains from the Alien franchise.
Right, yeah.
And if I'm going to jettison one, it has to be David, because obviously the Xenomorph started it all. You can't go, yes, I go with David, but not the alien that spawned the whole franchise. But David certainly is, just one of the most complex, like, great villains of the last 20 years. But
it's the best thing about, because I love Prometheus. I'm not as sure about. I know you guys both really like Covenant. I'm not as sure about Covenant, but the one thing I do love about it is David. He's just an amazingly written character. Yeah. Michael Fassbender just does it.
Does it. How many times have you seen Covenant?
I've seen it twice. I've seen it twice.
Because I know I have two or three friends that they saw it like the first time they saw it, they didn't like it. And I've always been big on it. And I was like, you just watch it again, watch it again. They watched it again, they liked it a little bit more. And then on like the third or fourth time, they ended up actually really liking it. I don't know if it's one that kind of has to grow on you, but
you know what it is, though? The problems I have with it, I mean, a lot of people don't like the Prometheus and Covenant direction because of the new sort of philosophical side of it and some of the weirder directions it goes.
But it's not new.
But that's what I loved.
It was there in Alien. That's been there.
Yeah,
like this is what gets me. This is what gets me.
Yeah.
The AI stuff, the stuff with Ash, it was right there in the first Alien film.
Big corrupt companies using biological weapons and AI that was set up, and that is literally what you say Prometheus.
Like arguably in the first film, because like I say, the xenomorph itself is indiscriminate. That's its nature. Arguably, the real villain of that film is Ash, because he's manipulating the whole crew. He's working for the the big corporate company. He's sacrificing. Like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
he does have a choice.
Yeah, I watched Alien last year, leading up to the new one. I hadn't seen that in a while, and I had forgotten what a prominent, as you say, an important presence that this character of Ash, and what the actual the core of the story and the theme of Alien is running through, and how it will run through the whole franchise as well.
And even Ash
plays.
Even Ash talks about like there's things you can infer from his language, the way he talks about the alien, where you can infer like a religiosity about it. There's almost a faith aspect to what Ash is doing, because of the magnificence of this creature, and that's just carried on into greater depth with David and all the religious stuff that goes on in that. So it's always been there.
Stuff. I love that. This is my thing with Covenant, though. I love all of this stuff, and I loved that direction. It felt like, to me, I don't know if this actually is the case, but it felt like there was some sort of pressure with Covenant to turn it a bit more back into an alien action film. And that's the stuff I don't like, because I end up comparing it to the much better films. Like, I think the first half of Covenant is really good. And that's why this time when I watched it, I was like, oh, maybe I saw it when I was sick last time. I was like, maybe I was in the wrong mood for it. Yeah. And I think the first half is brilliant. There's something about the final act of Covenant, which when I was watching it again, I was like, no, I just don't like the action sort of final set piece that takes away from all the interesting philosophical stuff they're delving into with David. Once it gets past that and you get into the alien on the ship taking people out, that's where it kind of loses me. I don't dislike the film. It's more that I love Prometheus. I really love it.
I still love the stuff on the ship, because I feel like it's a payoff. I feel like seeing the alien run amok on the ship at the end is a payoff. It's not something where I go, oh no, I like that stuff.
I just compare it to Aliens. I compare it to Aliens. For me, like the alien invasion on the ship and everything in Aliens is about as perfect, I think, as you can get for a horror sci-fi action film. And I liked that. Okay, now we're doing something very different. We're getting into the deeper rooted stuff that was, say, set up by Ridley Scott in the core of this franchise, and for it to just be like, oh, don't worry, we've got a big alien action scene at the end, and again ramping up the modern CGI and it's just I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So what about your number two?
Yeah, we'll let you continue with your number two.
Well, I would say I'm glad we were just chatting about Alien, because my two is also the Xenomorph as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like,
just nailed that.
I'll carry on the conversation about Alien whilst we're here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
basically
kill two birds with one stone with that one. Yeah. Say that again.
Just mirroring a lot of what you said, really. I think it's the design of the alien. I can't believe that in the, what's it now, 45 years since Alien came out.
70, isn't it? 79?
Yeah, 79, yeah. It's like the design of that alien, there's nothing that I've never seen another alien design that even compares.
No.
And again, not just a fine alien design, but as you say, everything about the design of it is obviously meant to tap into something us as humans that we're just like, stuff that freaks us out. Like, if you think about even the design of the face hugger, all around like a spider design and designed almost like sexual organs. It's like everything that we'd be like, oh, like just there's something so wrong about it.
It's a giant spider leaping at your face with a vagina in the middle. It's like
it's
just you know what I mean? It's like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just every step of it. I'm just the egg. Even before you get to the face hugger, the egg that just opens up is
just the thing
everything about it is just designed to get under your skin. The
whole scene when they first bring John Hurt in and it's got the face over on its face and the thing, when they find the shell of it sort of hanging. It just really makes me shiver. It's just it's an incredible design. I mean, the fact they brought amazing, obviously from all that, the Geiger artwork and stuff. An amazing alien design, and then genuinely did it justice with two. I mean, I love actually most of the franchise, but those first two films, two of the best ever. I think they're just.
I can watch them all. I know some people will argue that some of them are like really bad. I can watch them all.
I agree.
So.
Yeah.
Like Brian, I'm scarred with that imagery that you. You had to mention my number one fear in the world, which is spiders, and then attach it to a body part that,
I
think that is the intended effect. You're meant to still be thinking,
it's supposed to.
That's it.
It's supposed to. It's like it's just I mean, even the alien's head is shaped like a giant knob, and then it has another knob coming out as a second mouth.
They knew what they were doing with all that.
Like,
they knew what they were doing.
Not only does this knob come out of its mouth, but it drills a hole in your head. It's like everything about the design is designed to like kind of hint at some sort of sexual kind of attack.
Sexual violation. Yeah, absolutely.
It's so.
Absolutely, and it's extremely clever. And I think, there's obviously most people will look at that and just think that thing is so wrong, and that's just what makes it so memorable. You get tons of alien designs now, which are just you forget the second you come away. But that original alien, there's never been anything like it.
No.
All right, let's. I'm Brian just
moving on.
Yeah, Jack's got to go.
Don't worry, you've been talking
one
about Halloween soon, Clayton. Don't worry.
I got to get Brian back now. Something's coming. I'm gonna
Right, Jack, give us your number two, and then give us your obvious number one. But once you do your number one, limit it to 5 minutes, please, because I want to be off at 10:30. I need to put the kids to bed.
Shall I give my one first if we're doing our...
Go ahead and give your number one.
But I'll do my one whilst we're here now. I did pick... Right, whilst the films aren't as good, I did go with Freddy Krueger as the number one. For an iconic horror villain. Did watch... I did a little review series recently, went through all the films again. And whilst the films are very fun, very watchable, love the first film, but there is something... there was something unique that, Robert Englund did with that. Just brought a lot of personality to it. And it's the subtle things. I think, have you guys seen the Never Sleep Again documentary?
Yes.
You guys, incredible.
Very good.
It just makes you I loved it so much. It made me kind of appreciate it more and the kind of little subtleties that Robert Englund put in there. As you say, because he could be genuinely unnerving, scary, weird, but also he was funny. He had a real charisma about him. He had a very distinctive look. Obviously just really resonated with people at the time that it was coming out. And, I've been watching a lot of 80s horror again, because obviously we've got this list we're planning to do in the summer. I thought I'll bulk out my 80s horror knowledge over the next few months. And something about Elm Street, that is one that I will go back to a lot of times. And I do think it's because Freddy Krueger is just a very memorable horror villain. Yeah, love it. Love the backstory, love the dreams, the concept and everything. And it's pretty special. Again, not the best films in the world, but I do think very much deserving of a horror icon status. Absolutely.
For sure. Yep. Brian, number one, sir.
So my number one, and I did put a poll out on my channel yesterday just because I know the rest of the franchise is kind of action/sci-fi, and this one is definitely a huge element of its sci-fi, but it was, when it first came out, absolutely a horror as well. and that's Terminator, the T-800. From that first Terminator film, if we'd never got sequels, that would still be listed in, you know, horror slash sci-fi slash maybe a little bit of action, but mostly horror sci-fi. But that, yeah, I mean, everything about it is a nightmare. It's an unstoppable killing machine that, you know, it's Michael Myers but made of metal.
Liquid metal version of Michael Myers.
Well, no, like the first one. That's the.
Oh,
so the
you're talking. Wait, so are you talking T-800 or T-1000?
I'm talking T-800. So
okay.
T-800 from the first Terminator film.
Yeah.
You know, just like, and just certain, like the way that just so emotionless, like, you know, like get its arm kind of done in, goes into a hotel room, starts working on it, pulling this way and that, and you can see the inner workings of it, and then just like when you think you've got it, when every time you think you've killed this thing, it's, you know, it's in a truck, it gets blown up in a truck, boom, end of the movie. No, it isn't, because we've got another act, and it's like he rises up at it. And that was the nightmare that Cameron had that inspired the whole film to begin with, was this metal man rising out of the ashes of some...
That scene is so good. That is just amazing.
But like, oh man, I cannot tell you how many times I must have watched that movie as a kid. Like, I think I saw it back when I was like 9, 10. We taped it off TV, and it was just like, I just watched it so much. And especially that, once we got to that scene at the end when, you know, when he goes after him in the truck and it blows up, I loved the endoskeleton. But it's also just this like, what would you do? Like, I mean, so that thing's coming after him, and it's got a dicky leg, so it's kind of limping. But if that thing was just like, you know, full on, didn't have a injured leg, it's like, where are you gonna run? Where are you gonna go?
It's scary, dude. Like that end sequence when it's coming after Sarah, and it's like crawling through that machine thing, and it's still like, even though it's being terminated, just trying to reach her with like, dude.
It's definitely something scary about the constant, the sense of this thing is just, you're out there, you know it's coming for you, just in one direction for you, with one goal. It's kind of, in a weird way, similar to the kind of thing that makes It Follows. You know, Brian, you mentioned It Follows earlier. But I find that film quite scary, because it's this idea that there's just this thing with one mission just coming towards you all the time, and I just that sense of dread around that is amazing, and that's what
it is. It is that single-minded mindset of, you know, that's my target, that's the only thing I've got. That's all I need to do is just kill that one person. And it's like, and just the fact that the innocent, I mean, they're all innocent people, like in terms of like, you know, it's like they've not done anything to. But it's like, but it's the other Sarah Connors, you know, like, he just turns up at some random woman's house, Sarah Connor, yes, and that's it. You know, it's like she's just going about a day, like minding her own business, and all of a sudden some weirdo comes to her door and puts a bullet in her head because her name's Sarah Connor, and it's just that notion that like, and
everything's just an obstacle, human or not.
And it's just like today with AI going the way it is. It's a character, it's a villain that's it's not become less relevant, it's become more relevant as time goes on. And it's like,
what I find so strange is James Cameron's obsession and love for artificial intelligence and its progression, when his original movies were all about, don't go this path. It's like, watch your own movies again, please.
It's crazy. My cousin, they were at a restaurant, I think in Alabama, Mississippi, and their server was a robot. Like they were served by a robot. Like, that's where we've gotten to with AI and technology today. Like, I was like, dude, when he told me that story, I was like, dude, that I would have been, I don't know that I could have done that. Like, robots freak me out. And if I'm sitting there and my waiter is a robot just coming up, I'm like, I'm out. Let's go to the McDonald's down the street. So
yeah, it's all very interesting stuff they touched on in Terminator with this kind of idea that, as you say, like in AI, if they become powerful, humans are effectively just something in the way. They're just simply no longer needed. They don't serve a purpose anymore. And I actually want to do a thing coming up for Ex Machina. I don't know if you guys have seen Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Alex Garland, and I have so much to say about that film, and I think that talks about AI in a way that's very, poignant for the times and everything, and kind of stuff stuff that really was tackled back in Terminator. But yeah, wonderful movie.
Just like if you go on Chat GPT, you can have a full blown conversation with Chat GPT, and it'll talk to you in a really respectful way. And it's like I can see, like, in 20 years' time, therapists are going to have to be able to deal with people who have fallen in love with their AI on their phones, because of the way that they're interacting with it. It's like they're able to get something from that interaction that perhaps they're not getting from the humans in their life that they would expect that kind of interaction from. And it's just and like I think psychotherapists are going to have a lot to deal with in terms of all that stuff over the years.
Yeah. It's like Her, isn't it? With that film Her, with the operating system. Yeah. And human brains obviously not good at we feel like sometimes with Chat GPT, I almost find myself being polite, and I'm just like, as if this thing, oh, it better be nice, just in case. Even though logically in my head, I'm like, it's not complex enough to be conscious of. I'm like,
I find myself being polite with Chat GPT just out of the fear that when it does eventually get to the point that it can take over, it'll remember me as being someone who's like.
That's funny. All right. Well, I got to have some time to talk about my boy, so I'll just go ahead and throw it up there. My number one, no surprise to anybody that knows me or has been on my channel. Brian, you better wake up for this. You implanted that scene in my head that I am now scarred with for the rest of my life and won't be able to unsee. If you ruin Alien for me, I'm blaming you. So,
dude, we've literally got about 22 hours worth of voice messages in our Messenger chat section from you, all about Halloween.
Clayton, you do have a skill. Like, a conversation could be going one way, and you managed to link it back to Halloween. And I'm like, how did he do that? How did he actually manage that?
Hey man, it's a skill we're not all born with.
Listen, in all seriousness, I've got to go in about 3 minutes to put my kid to bed. So you've got 3 minutes. Me and Jack are going to shut up. You got 3 minutes to talk, Mike.
I got this.
Yours.
All right, Michael, my favorite horror villain of all time. I think he, in some ways, is the scariest because of what he is. The way I interpret the film, we never actually see Michael Myers. The opening shot, the POV, is the beginning of the shape. That's where the shape begins. Takes over the vessel of Michael Myers. We never actually see Michael. That there's a reason why he's titled and labeled as the shape in the credits, because that's all we ever see. Why do we never hear Michael talk? Because he's possessed by the shape, which in my opinion is the very spirit of evil, which is why he is as scary and as unbeatable as he is. I don't like the brother-sister angle that they go on in other films. Makes him more human, gives him human motivations. He's not human. They make that very clear in the first one. This is something above humanity. That is a dark entity force coming at you. So, Michael's the GOAT. I know it. Everyone knows it. There's no debate about that. Everyone agrees Michael's the GOAT. That's it, guys. Thank you all for watching. I'm glad we're all in agreement on the number one. Brian, I'm definitely going to get you back for what you did to me. Jack, thanks for being here. Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you both for showing up. Go check out their channels. Give them some love. Give them some support. I will be dropping still tomorrow. I'll be dropping my every Monday content. Got a ranking video coming for you guys. Until next time, kick it and rock on. Later, dudes.